Speaking of which, Aya,
yeah.
what do you think about the student media, Georgian, for example? Have you had the chance to look at the newspaper? Do you look at this newspaper?
No, actually, when I first came to the States, I from all the States news, I just look at Washington Post because I think it's most credible news I can read here. I don't actually read like news, but I watch a lot of programs because I instead of reading what people think about people, I would just go and watch what Obama's saying, what's Romney saying, what's really people are saying, and do my own interpretation instead of that. But talking about these differences, we had sport also as like like a very on topic issue, and we had a lot of fun of sport thing. But I think this is part of the state policy, because the state here made the sports team of a university a very big issue, that it became included into the system itself. But we in Tunisia got rid of this policy of being very obsessed about sports and having politics. They're obsessed about politics.
Yeah, I don't know that it's actually a policy. I think it's more of a cultural thing. But it's football here, but it's baseball and basketball other places.
Yeah.
Now, given what we talked about earlier, with the Pew poll saying 54% of Americans favor a stable dictatorship in the Middle East versus a democracy, just out of curiosity, in your time here, have you seen anything that would make you believe that we are in any way, I guess, more capable of deciding our leaders than people in Tunisia would be? Just because...
Yeah, I don't think so. But why I was surprised, because whenever I talk to people here, people actually are supportive of revolution. And whenever you tell them what happened, how that started, how it goes, people would be so inspired and so supportive and amazed. I didn't see, I don't know if this polling if it's right, but really I didn't see any Americans who would say, oh no, you should better stay in a dictatorship. I've never heard of it.
Well, there's been a lot of discussion lately, especially given the events in Libya and in Tunisia, that there's a mindset of, in the Middle East, even if one dictatorship falls, the one that replaces it will be just as bad. And you've given us the example in Tunisia. While one oppressive regime was overthrown, it's been replaced by a democratically elected one. But the democratically elected one is, toying with Sharia law, toying with, religious law. And while people didn't necessarily support the dictatorship, they've been seeing on the news for the past 10 years since September 11th of 2001 that we've been fighting Islamic extremism and the propaganda war that is in Afghanistan and Iraq, and people fear that.
Yeah, maybe because they think, especially with the attack of the U.S. ambassador, you say that maybe people would say, oh, if they're gonna attack the Westerns, it's better that they would be stable and under dictatorship, like taking control of them. What I think is, it has been a debate actually in Tunisia if Arab dictatorships would bring about new dictatorships. And the argument of, like most Tunisian, if you ask them this question, they will tell you, no, it's not gonna never happen. Why? Because people now can speak their minds. People now, they are not like before afraid of anything, even death. If you're not afraid even of losing your life, so what's you gonna be afraid of? You can fight till the end of any dictatorship that can happen. And the example of that is this year have been of unrest because of the ruling party or coalition, what they call. People went to the street and protested again and again and again. Even this article, they went to the street to change it. And the power of people became very much perceived and like considered by anyone in power. Even if you show up on TV, you better know what you're saying, because the other day people are gonna go out and protest of what you said wrong, and they think it's wrong. So I think the difference now is that people can stand up for anything that can happen and take their rights, while before, if it's dictatorship, they can do nothing about it. Something else is that we're not yet having our real elections. That election was just for 1 year for the writing a new constitution, and now the coming election would be choosing the president, and because the president wasn't elected, it was appointed when we elected by the majority. So I think now seeing how all different political parties have been reacted during this year, people would know better who to vote for.
Coming back to similarities to Libya, there was some anti-American violence in Tunisia this past September, and there has been debate as to whether or not it was due to the release of the YouTube video movie, The Innocence of Muslims, or whether or not it was a blowback on American foreign policy. Mm-hmm. Do you think that it was one or the other, or do you think it was a combination of two? Do you think both played a role?
I don't think... I would say that maybe in Egypt, because Egyptians are so suspicious about American funding or support. There would be always a thinking about what's behind that. But in Tunisia, actually, Tunisia has always been open to Western either funding or exchange or cultures, and we had a culture of tolerance in Tunisian society, because we even have Jewish population in Tunisia and Jewish community. But I think on that particular movie, it was because of the rise of Salafism in Tunisia. So those extremists who went to the streets are few first, but the media again propagated that was a huge thing. It was a few thing, and then I've seen this attack. There were no security in the embassy, as if, okay, come and do whatever you want. There wasn't no security, and I was even surprised by the attack of the U.S. ambassador. Where is the security? Where is American security? I mean, even 9/11. Where is American security? American security is one of the top 0 risk on the world. So how can you easily attack any of the American thing? But when the attack went to Tunisia, we were all surprised. Even the attack of the American school, people were just all Tunisians were on Facebook. I don't know who went to the street and attacked that. There were few, and they were because of freedom of religion after revolution. They were those extremists. It's like a rise of extremism, and they found their way. I totally agree they would be against the American policy, of course they would, and extremists, they would always link the West with Palestinian case, and they would always link it with Bin Laden. They would always link the West as against us, this kind of stuff.
Do you see any similarities? I don't know how much attention you pay to American politics, but do you see any similarities between the American politicians who run on a religious base, who you could say pander to religion in order to get votes? Do you see any similarities between those politicians here and the politicians in Tunisia who were swept into power after the revolution?
In Tunisia, of course, they used religion as a major powerful point for them to get a lot of votes. Here, I think America is very much religious, though it's not in the Constitution or anything, but it's in the society. It seems really religious. I don't know if the presidents would use religions as an argument. No, I don't think so. They would rather use the multicultural environment of America to be together. They would probably use religious funding for that, but they would, in their message or speech, American president would always be inclusive and put the states in a picture of we are the multicultural society, that everyone is welcome and everyone can live peacefully in this culture, and this is what we stand for. So I think in speech they would definitely not be exclusive to one religion, but in funding, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of religious funding.
This isn't necessarily just focusing on the presidential debates or
any
political group, but at the same time, we have seen certain not presidential candidate. Well, even within presidential candidates, there was Herman Cain, who in the Republican primaries said that if he was elected, he would not appoint a Muslim to any member of his cabinet and would make any Muslim who worked for the government swear an oath of loyalty to the United States. There have been several politicians lately that have made the news for saying just incredibly, it would sound strange, statements about women and about science because of their religious beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about one country with a government that is being, I guess you would say, religiously oppressive, and then there are politicians in this country that are doing the same thing,
mm-hmm.
but not on an enforcement level, just on a statement of their beliefs level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's totally different in Tunisia because we are 99% Muslim. So it's basically a Muslim state. And this is it's a Muslim state by majority of the religion. It's not an Islamic state because it can be a Muslim state but not have an Islamic ruling. And this is the difference because the United States, it's as if it's the word, like all people from different nationalities, from different cultures, different backgrounds, different religions are here. But in Tunisia, it would be easy and it would be very common to use the religion as a first statement because you all
it's
Muslims.
Yeah,
so
you said 99%.
99. So you all Muslims. So we should.
Yeah, within the United States, it is still, I believe, a Christian majority, but it's not anywhere near 99%.
Yeah, it's more inclusive.
Yeah.